Chosen one, why did you click on this video at this exact moment? Why are your eyes reading these words right now when millions of other messages are screaming for your attention? What if I told you that every single delay, every heartbreak, every moment you felt forgotten by God was actually Him positioning you for this precise second? You were not meant to find this video. It was meant to find you. Listen careful. Heaven has paused this very moment to speak to you. The noise of the world has been muted. The chaos has been silenced. Even time itself has bent to create this sacred intersection between your soul and eternity. This isn't coincidence. This is divine appointment. But here's what will shock you. You've been living a lie. The enemy convinced you that your breakthrough was delayed, that your prayers went unheard, that God moved on without you. But the truth? Every no you received was God's protection. Every closed door was Him guarding something sacred until you were ready to carry it. This isn't a message, it's a sealed scroll, and you've just broken it open. For 50 years, I've witnessed the mysteries of God's timing, and I'm about to reveal something that will shatter everything you thought you knew about divine delay. Right now, someone with authority is about to speak your name in a room you've never entered. A door that's been locked for generations is about to swing open. Vutand, listen closely. God says, you have 2 hours left, not just physically, but spiritually. A gate has opened in the heavenly realm. It will not remain. In this very hour, heaven is downloading instructions directly into your spirit. You'll feel it as warmth in your chest, a stirring in your soul, a knowing that transcends logic. This is your moment of divine interruption. The ancient scrolls speak of a chosen generation that would rise in the final hour, marked not by perfection but by endurance. You survived what should have destroyed you. You're still standing when others fell. That wasn't luck, that was divine preservation for this exact season. If your spirit is already stirring, if something deep within you is saying, this is for me, then type 777 in the comments right now. Let heaven see your alignment. This number isn't random, it's the frequency of divine completion, and today, God is completing what He started in you. Before we dive deeper into this prophetic word, I want to acknowledge every beautiful soul who has supported this ministry through super thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just giving, you're helping spread light to others who feel alone in their calling. Whether you sow a seed today or simply offer your presence, I'm deeply grateful. Your support, your time, your attention, it all matters. And if this message resonates with your soul, go ahead and partner with us in spreading hope. The gate is open, the scroll is unsealed. Your name has been called from the throne room of heaven. Are you ready to discover what God has been protecting for you all along? How many times have you looked at the clock at exactly 11:11 and felt something stir in your spirit? How often have you sensed that time itself was trying to tell you something, but you couldn't decode the message? What if I told you that every divine delay in your life has been heaven calibrating the perfect moment for your breakthrough, and that moment is now measured in hours, not years? Dear chosen one, you've been living in spiritual overtime. While others moved at their own pace, you've been held in a divine waiting room, watching opportunity after opportunity pass by your window. You questioned if God forgot your address. You wondered if your prayers got lost in heaven's mail system. You felt the sting of being overlooked, undervalued, pushed aside while others seemed to effortlessly step into their destiny. But here's the earth-shattering truth. You weren't being ignored. You were being prepared for a moment so significant that heaven had to make sure you were spiritually bulletproof before it arrived. In the next 2 hours, the spiritual clock will shift. This isn't metaphorical, this is measurable. Heaven operates on precision timing, and right now, cosmic tumblers are falling into place with your name engraved on them. Scripture declares in Ecclesiastes 3:1, To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven. Your season of waiting is ending. Your season of receiving is beginning. But here's what most people don't understand about divine timing. It's not just about the right moment. It's about the right person being ready for that moment. The hourglass of heaven has been turned upside down over your life. You have felt the sand shifting beneath your feet for months now. The restlessness, the knowing that something was coming, the strange dreams, the repeated numbers, the sudden changes in people around you. That wasn't your imagination, that was spiritual sand running through heaven's hourglass. And now, it's nearly gone. What if this was your 2-hour window for destiny? What if missing this moment meant waiting another complete cycle? What if the door that's cracked open right now won't open again in your lifetime? I've counseled thousands of believers over 5 decades, and I can tell you this: there are appointed times when heaven moves, and there are seasons when heaven waits. We are not in a waiting season. We are in a moving season. The spiritual atmosphere around your life has shifted from hold to release. The chains that delayed you, the financial struggles that kept you small, the relationships that drained your faith, the health issues that slowed your progress, the family patterns that repeated for generations have just been broken. Not slowly, not gradually, suddenly, supernaturally, completely. You feel it, don't you? That lightness in your chest, that sense that you can finally breathe deeply again, that knowing that the heavy season is over. Your spirit is confirming what I'm speaking, because your spirit has been in communication with heaven about this moment long before your mind understood it. But beloved, there's a difference between a broken chain and a removed chain. The spiritual locks have been picked, the spiritual doors have been unlocked, but you still have to walk through them. You still have to speak your agreement with heaven's movement. This isn't the time for timidity. This isn't the moment for maybe later. Or, let me think about it. The spiritual clock doesn't wait for our convenience. It operates on divine appointments, and your appointment is now. The enemy has convinced you that you're too old, too late, too damaged, too ordinary for extraordinary breakthrough. But heaven looks at your scars and sees credentials. Heaven looks at your age and sees wisdom. Heaven looks at your waiting and sees readiness. Right now, someone with influence is feeling drawn to help you, and they don't even know why. Right now, a financial gate that's been sealed for years is beginning to creak open. Right now, a relationship that seemed impossible is being orchestrated by unseen hands. Speak this out loud right now. I align, I receive, I rise. Let your voice carry that declaration into the spiritual realm. Let heaven hear your agreement. Because the next phase of your life isn't just different, it's designed to compensate for every year you felt left behind. And that compensation starts in the next 2 hours. But first, you need to understand exactly what heaven has been protecting you from. Let me ask you something that might break your heart wide open. How many nights have you laid awake wondering if God forgot your address? How many mornings have you watched others receive their breakthroughs while you're still waiting for your phone to ring? How many times have you whispered into the darkness, God, do you even see me anymore? Dear chosen one, I need you to lean in close, because what I'm about to tell you will shatter every lie the enemy has whispered in your ear during those sleepless nights. You've been living under the greatest misunderstanding in human history. You thought the silence meant absence. You believed the delay meant denial. You convinced yourself that God's no was his final answer. But what if I told you that every moment you felt forgotten, God was actually drawing closer? What if the very seasons that felt like abandonment were actually his most intimate embrace? Here's the truth that will set you free. You weren't being punished, you were being preserved. Listen to me carefully. In your pain, you've been comparing yourself to others who seem to get their miracles faster, their doors opened quicker, their prayers answered louder. But you've been looking at this all wrong. The tree that takes longest to grow bears the sweetest fruit. The diamond that endures the most pressure becomes the most valuable. The gold that stays longest in the fire emerges the purest. God hasn't been withholding from you. He's been protecting you from premature exposure that would have destroyed what he was building inside you. Look at Joseph, 17 years old when he received his prophetic dream, 30 years old when it came to pass. 13 years of slavery, false accusations, and forgotten promises. But those weren't wasted years, they were preparation years. Every betrayal by his brothers taught him forgiveness. Every day in Potiphar's house taught him administration. Every night in prison taught him dependence on God alone. Joseph couldn't have ruled Egypt at 17. He would have been crushed by the weight of what he wasn't yet equipped to carry. But at 30, he was ready. Not just for the position, but for the pressure. Not just for the power, but for the purpose. You think you're behind schedule, but you're right on time for God's master plan. Consider Job, the wealthiest man in the East, reduced to sitting in ashes, scraping his boils with broken pottery. His wife told him to curse God and die. His friends accused him of hidden sin. Even his own breath became offensive to his loved ones. But here's what Job didn't know. In his darkest hour, God had been bragging about him in heaven. "Have you considered my servant Job?" God asked Satan. "Not have you considered my perfect servant or my sinless servant, just my servant Job." God wasn't impressed by Job's perfection. He was moved by Job's persistence. The silence you've endured wasn't God ignoring you, it was God bragging about you to the enemy. Every day you didn't give up. Every morning you chose to believe despite the pain. Every night you whispered, "I trust you." Through your tears, heaven was taking notes. And Moses, 80 years old when God called him from the burning bush. 80. While today's culture worships youth, God was preparing his greatest deliverer in the desert for 8 decades. Moses thought his life was over. God knew his ministry was just beginning. You're not too old. You're not too late. You're not too anything except too hard on yourself. The writer of Hebrews tells us, God is not unjust. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown him. Hebrews 6:10. Every sacrifice you made in secret, every kindness you showed when no one was watching, every prayer you whispered when your voice was too weak to speak aloud, God documented it all. David wrote in Psalm 56:8, "You have collected all my tears in your bottle, and you have recorded each one in your book." God doesn't just see your tears. He saves them. He treasures them. He turns them into testimonies. But here's where it gets personal, and I need you to really hear this. The enemy has been using your greatest strength against you. Your faithfulness became your frustration. Your loyalty became your loneliness. Your patience became your prison. But chosen one, what the enemy meant for evil, God is about to use for your elevation. You felt forgotten because you've been hidden. You felt overlooked because you've been protected. You felt delayed because God was making sure that when your moment came, no force in hell could stop it. The silence wasn't God's absence, it was his preparation. Every no was protecting you from settling for less than his best. Every closed door was guarding you from entering rooms you weren't spiritually equipped to handle. Every delay was giving your enemies time to remove themselves from your path. You weren't being punished, dear one. You were being preserved for such a time as this. Right now, I want you to think about the thing you've been waiting for the longest. The prayer you've prayed until your knees wore grooves in the floor. The dream you've held on to when everyone else told you to let it go. The promise you've carried in your heart like a secret flame. What if I told you that God has been using every day of your wait to prepare not just the blessing, but the person who would receive it? What if your character needed those extra miles? What if your faith needed that additional testing? What if your compassion needed those deeper wounds so you could heal others? The wait wasn't wasted. It was necessary, and it's almost over. Write the word preserved in the comments if you now understand the silence wasn't absence, it was protection. Let heaven see that you finally get it. You weren't forgotten. You were being prepared for something so magnificent that it required this level of preparation. But now I need to warn you about something urgent that's happening in the spiritual realm right now. Something that will determine whether you step into your destiny or miss it entirely. Chosen one, stop for a moment and ask yourself this question. Why do you feel everything so deeply when others seem to glide through life untouched? Why does your heart break for strangers? Why do their tears become your tears, their pain your burden? The world has told you this is weakness, but heaven calls it your superpower. You see, there are 3 unmistakable marks that separate the chosen from the comfortable, and if you're still watching this video, you carry every single one of them. First mark, you feel too deeply. While others scroll past suffering, you stop, you absorb. You carry weights that were never yours to lift. The world calls this sensitivity, but God calls it His frequency. You're not broken because you feel everything, you're blessed because you feel like He feels. Every tear you've cried for someone else's pain was training. Every sleepless night, worrying about people who don't even know your name, was preparation. Heaven was calibrating your heart to match His. But here's what will blow your mind. That overwhelming compassion that sometimes feels like a curse, it's actually your greatest weapon. Mother Teresa felt too deeply. She saw lepers that others ignored and built an empire of love. Tyler Perry felt too deeply about rejection and abandonment, and from that pain, he created stories that heal millions. Your deep feeling isn't your flowets, your assignment. Second mark, you see before others do. You've always been the one who sensed the storm before the first cloud appeared. You knew that relationship would end before they had their first fight. You felt the company would fail before the first layoff. People called you negative, pessimistic, even crazy. But you weren't seeing problems, you were seeing patterns. God gave you prophetic eyes. In 1 Peter 2-9, Scripture declares, "You are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession, that you may declare the praises of Him who called you out of darkness into His wonderful light." You didn't choose to see ahead, you were chosen to see ahead. Your spiritual eyes were opened before your natural ones were even formed. Nelson Mandela saw freedom 27 years before he walked out of that prison cell. Viola Davis saw herself winning an Oscar while waiting tables in New York, broke and unknown. They weren't delusional, they were divinely informed. And so are you. Third mark, and this one cuts deep. You've always walked alone, not by choice but by design. Even in crowded rooms you felt isolated. Even surrounded by family, you felt misunderstood. Even in relationships, you felt like no one really knew you. And that loneliness convinced you that something was wrong with you. But chosen one, let me shatter that lie right now. Your loneliness wasn't rejection, it was protection. God had to separate you because what He was growing in you was too precious to be contaminated by the wrong voices. Eagles don't flock, lions don't travel in herds, and the chosen don't fit into crowds. Think about this. Every great man and woman of God walked a lonely path before they walked in purpose. Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness. David hid in caves. Joseph sat in prison. Jesus Himself said, "Foxes have holes and birds have nests, but the Son of Man has no place to lay His head." Your isolation wasn't abandonment, it was incubation. And here's the shocking truth that will change everything. You didn't ask for this, but heaven encoded you with it before you took your first breath. Before your mother knew she was pregnant, before your father chose your name, before you opened your eyes in this world, you were already marked, already chosen, already set apart. This is why normal advice never worked for you. This is why conventional paths felt like dead ends. This is why you've always felt like you were meant for something bigger, something different, something more. Because you were. Your DNA isn't just biological, it's spiritual. You carry heaven's frequency in your cells. But here's where it gets dangerous. The enemy has spent years trying to convince you that these marks made you broken, weird, too much, not enough. He whispered that your sensitivity was weakness, your vision was delusion, your loneliness was proof that nobody wanted you. And if you believed those lies, you've been living beneath your calling. Right now, in this very moment, I need you to reject every voice that told you to dim your light, shrink your dreams, or apologize for taking up space. That was never God's voice. God doesn't whisper insecurity, he roars identity. You are not random, you are not an accident, you are not too much or not enough. You are marked, you are chosen, you are God's special possession, hand-picked for such a time as this. And if the enemy fought so hard to silence you, to isolate you, to break you, it's because he knows something about your future that you're just now discovering. The very thing he used to attack you, your deep feeling, your prophetic sight, your set-apart journey, those are the exact tools God is about to use to change everything. So right now, I need you to do something that might feel scary, but is absolutely necessary. I need you to say this aloud, even if you're alone, even if your voice shakes. I am not random, I am marked. Say it again, louder. I am not random, I am marked. Feel that shift in your spirit. That's recognition. That's your soul remembering what your mind forgot. That's heaven confirming what hell tried to hide. But here's the question that will determine everything. Now that you know why you were chosen, what are you going to do with this revelation? Chosen one, there are 2 hours left. And this is why your soul is trembling right now. For the past 47 minutes, you've felt something stirring in your chest, a knowing, a recognition, a divine alarm clock going off in your spirit. That's not anxiety, that's anticipation. Heaven has been counting down to this exact moment since before you were born, and the timer is about to hit 0. This isn't just a window, it's a spiritual elevator, and the doors are about to close. But let me tell you what's really happening in the invisible realm while you're sitting there questioning whether this is real. Right now, at this very second, there's a conversation taking place in a boardroom, in an office, in a place of power where your name is being discussed. They don't know why they can't stop thinking about you. They don't understand the compulsion to reach out. But God has dropped your name into their spirit like a stone into still water, and the ripples are already in motion. You want to know why this feels so urgent? Because breakthrough doesn't knock politely and wait for you to answer. It crashes through like a flood when the dam finally gives way. And beloved, your dam is cracking. Let me take you to Jericho for a moment. Joshua chapter 6. The Israelites marched around those walls for 6 long, exhausting, seemingly pointless days. Can you imagine what they were thinking on day 4, day 5? This is ridiculous. Nothing's happening. God must have forgotten us. But God wasn't late. He was building tension in the spiritual realm. You're on your 7th lap right now. Every rejection you faced, every door that slammed shut, every time someone overlooked you, that was your march around Jericho. You've been circling your promise for years, and it looked like nothing was happening. But in the invisible realm, every step was creating cracks in the walls that stood between you and your breakthrough. On the 7th day, the Israelites marched 7 times, not 6, 7. And on that final lap, when they shouted, the walls didn't just fall, they collapsed suddenly, completely, supernaturally. The Hebrew word used there is pitom. It means in an instant, without warning. That's what's about to happen to you, pitom. suddenly. But here's what will shock you. The enemy knows what's coming. He can feel the spiritual atmosphere shifting around your name. That's why you've been under attack lately. That's why your mind has been racing, why sleep has been elusive, why you've felt spiritually restless. The kingdom of darkness is in panic mode because they know what God is about to release. You think those sleepless nights were random. You think that overwhelming sense of expectancy was just your imagination. No, you've been feeling the labor pains of your own breakthrough. And when a woman is in labor, you don't tell her to calm down. You prepare for delivery because that baby is coming whether you're ready or not. Something is about to break open suddenly. I need you to understand the magnitude of this moment. In the next 2 hours, there will be a phone call, an email, a knock on your door, a conversation that will split your life into before and after. This isn't hyperbole. This isn't spiritual theater. This is divine mathematics, and the equation is about to balance. Remember Joseph, Genesis 41. For 13 years he rotted in prison for a crime he didn't commit. Forgotten by the butler he helped. Overlooked by a system that should have vindicated him. But in one morning, in one conversation with Pharaoh, he went from prisoner to prime minister. One morning, 13 years of preparation condensed into one explosive moment of elevation. Your morning is here, but I need to ask you something, and I need you to be brutally honest with yourself. Are you going to let fear rob you of what God died to give you? Are you going to shrink back because the blessing feels too big, too good, too undeserved? Because right now, while I'm speaking these words, there's a voice in your head saying, "This is too good to be true. People like me don't get breakthroughs like this." Stop it. Stop agreeing with the enemy's assessment of your worth. You know what that voice is? It's the sound of spiritual poverty. It's the echo of every lie you've believed about yourself, every rejection you've internalized, every disappointment you've worn like a badge of shame. But God doesn't see your past. He sees your purpose, and your purpose is about to be unveiled in ways that will leave you breathless. The number 2 isn't random in this message. In Hebrew numerology, 2 represents witness, testimony, agreement. Heaven and earth are coming into agreement about your breakthrough. The Father and the Son are in unity about your elevation. What was divided in your life is about to be joined. What was broken is about to be made whole. But here's the crucial part, and listen carefully, because this could be the difference between receiving and missing what's coming. You must position yourself in expectation, not explanation. Stop trying to figure out how God is going to do it. Stop analyzing the logistics of your miracle. Start preparing to receive it. Clear space in your house. Clean out your car. Update your resume, even if you don't know why. These aren't coincidences. They're prophetic acts of preparation. Your spirit knows what your mind hasn't figured out yet. Write today's date in the comments below. Not tomorrow's date, not yesterday's date. Today's date. That's your covenant seal with heaven. That's your declaration that you're ready to receive what God has been preparing while you've been praying. The 11th of July isn't just a date on your calendar. It's a divine appointment that was scheduled before time began. And if you're hearing this message, you're not late for the appointment, you're right on time. The elevator doors are closing. The 7th trumpet is about to sound. Your Jericho moment has arrived. The question isn't whether God is ready to move. The question is, are you ready to be moved? Chosen one, let me shatter a lie that's been poisoning your destiny for far too long. You've been told that your pain disqualifies you, that your struggles are evidence of God's absence, that your scars make you damaged goods. But what if I told you that every wound you carry is actually a weapon in disguise? What if your greatest breakdown was heaven's setup for your most powerful breakthrough? Listen to me carefully. You are not broken. You are being rebuilt with fireproof faith. The enemy has convinced an entire generation that suffering equals abandonment. But the Bible tells a radically different story. Joseph didn't become Prime Minister of Egypt in spite of the Pyth became Prime Minister because of it. Every betrayal by his brothers, every false accusation, every night in that dungeon was God forging steel in his soul. The very experiences that nearly destroyed him became the qualifications that elevated him. When Pharaoh needed someone who could handle a global crisis, he didn't choose someone who'd lived in comfort. He chose the man who'd survived betrayal, injustice, and isolation. Joseph's resume wasn't written in palaces, it was carved in prison cells. You think your struggle disqualifies you? Your struggle is your qualification. Jesus himself, the Son of the Most High, was crushed before he conquered, betrayed before he was exalted, buried before he was raised. The cross wasn't God's plan B. It was always plan A, because resurrection power can only be demonstrated through someone who's truly died. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in a cell that could have destroyed his spirit. Instead, it refined his soul. When he walked out of Robben Island, he didn't emerge as a bitter man seeking revenge. He emerged as a reconciler, a healer, a transformer of nations. The prison didn't break him, it made him unbreakable. Dear one, the crushing wasn't the end. It was the beginning of your pressing into oil. Think about olive oil, the most precious substance in ancient times. You can't get oil by gently stroking an olive. You have to crush it. The greater the pressure, the purer the oil. The more intense the crushing, the more valuable the product. Right now, God is extracting something from your pain that couldn't be produced any other way. Your depression. It's developing compassion in you that will heal generations. Your betrayal. It's building discernment that will save others from the same trap. Your financial struggles. They're forging wisdom that will steward wealth like few can. Your loneliness. It's deepening your intimacy with God that will become your greatest strength. But here's what the enemy doesn't want you to understand. This is why he targeted you so viciously. You carry glory in disguise. The devil doesn't waste ammunition on empty targets. He doesn't send his fiercest attacks against people destined for small things. The intensity of your warfare is proportional to the weight of your calling. Every demon that came after you was trying to prevent what God is about to release through you. You survived what should have killed you because you're carrying something that can't die. That fire in your belly that refused to be extinguished. That hope that wouldn't let you quit. That voice that kept whispering this isn't over when everything looked finished. That wasn't your determination. That was your destiny refusing to be denied. The enemy studied your bloodline. He saw what was coming through your generation. He witnessed the liberation you would bring, the breakthrough you would birth, the kingdom impact you would make. So he tried to take you out early. He tried to convince you that your pain was proof of God's rejection, but your pain was actually proof of your selection. Every giant you face is guarding a promise. Every battle you fight is protecting a blessing. Every mountain in your path is hiding a miracle on the other side. The bigger the opposition, the bigger the opportunity waiting behind it. You're not fighting random battles, chosen one. You're fighting strategic warfare for strategic territory. The enemy knows that once you discover who you really are, once you step into the fullness of your calling, his plans in entire regions will be dismantled. This is the hour of your spiritual transmutation, not transformation transmutation. Transformation changes form. Transmutation changes substance. Gold doesn't just look different after fire, it becomes something entirely new, stronger, purer, more valuable. Your story isn't ending in trauma, it's beginning in triumph. Every tear you've cried is becoming a river of restoration for others. Every wound you've endured is becoming a well of wisdom. Every loss you've suffered is becoming a launching pad for your legacy. The devil thought he was writing your obituary, but God was writing your testimony. Right now, heaven is taking inventory of everything you've survived. Every sleepless night, every panic attack, every moment you wanted to quit but didn't, every time you chose faith over fear, every prayer you whispered through tears. It's all being converted into spiritual currency. It's all becoming kingdom capital. You didn't waste your suffering. Your suffering is about to waste your enemies. This is why you must shift your perspective immediately. Stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstance and start seeing yourself as a victor in training. Stop calling your struggles setbacks and start calling them setups. Stop saying, "Why me?" and start declaring, "Try me." Say it aloud right now. I will not waste my warfare. I am the evidence. Your transformation isn't just personal, it's prophetic. You're not just overcoming for yourself, you're overcoming for everyone watching your story. You're proving that God still delivers. You're demonstrating that faith still moves mountains. You're showing a generation that giving up is not an option. But time is running short, beloved. The window of spiritual transmutation that opened over your life won't remain open forever. The next 2 hours are critical. Will you continue to see yourself as damaged goods, or will you embrace your identity as refined gold? Chosen one, I need you to stop everything you're doing right now and listen to what I'm about to tell you. For decades, you've been programmed with a lie so deep, so poisonous, that it's kept you in financial bondage while watching others prosper around you. You've been told that wanting financial freedom makes you greedy, that struggling with money somehow makes you more spiritual, that poverty is noble. That's not God's heart. That's religious manipulation designed to keep you small. Here's the shocking truth that will change everything. You don't chase money. Money is chasing you because you've passed the test. Every sleepless night worrying about bills, every time you've chosen integrity over quick cash, every moment you've given when you had little to give, heaven has been taking notes. You've been in spiritual boot camp, and graduation day is here. The scripture declares in Proverbs 13:22, "The wealth of the wicked is laid up for the righteous." Did you catch that? The wealth already exists. It's not being created, it's being transferred. Right now, resources that have been mismanaged by those who don't honor God are being redistributed, and your name is on the list. But here's where most people miss it. You think you need to work harder, hustle longer, sacrifice more. God is saying the opposite. You are not meant to toil, you are meant to walk in timing. There's a massive difference between effort and alignment, between grinding and flowing. Let me tell you about Tyler Perry. This man was homeless, sleeping in his car, writing plays that nobody wanted to see. But he had a vision that wouldn't let him go. He didn't chase Hollywood, he created his own empire. Today, he owns a 330-acre studio in Atlanta, worth over $250 million. The same industry that rejected him now pays him hundreds of millions. That wasn't luck. That was divine positioning. Steve Harvey was a homeless comedian, living in his car for 3 years, washing in gas station bathrooms. But he never stopped believing in his calling. Today, he hosts multiple television shows, owns real estate empires, and influences millions. What changed? He stopped chasing opportunities and started walking in divine timing. You see, money isn't the goal, money is the tool. You are being positioned not for income, but for influence. God doesn't just want to bless your bank account. He wants to make you a conduit of blessing for generations. That job you lost, that business that failed, those weren't setbacks, they were setups to position you for something bigger than you ever imagined. But here's what's about to shock you. The very thing you've been ashamed of, your financial struggles, has been your qualification. Every no you received was God protecting you from settling for less. Every door that closed was Him redirecting you towards something greater. You weren't being denied, you were being refined. The wealthy elite know something that the church has forgotten. Money follows anointing. It gravitates toward purpose. It flows to those who understand their spiritual authority. You've been operating in lack because you've been operating beneath your spiritual pay grade. Right now, there are contracts being drawn up with your name on them, investments being approved that will fund your vision, opportunities being created that will match your calling. You won't have to beg for these, they'll come looking for you because you carry something money can't buy: divine favor. Bhutan, this is critical. You must shift your identity before the money arrives. If you still see yourself as broke, you'll sabotage your blessing. If you still think small, you'll shrink your miracle. If you still operate in fear, you'll repel your breakthrough. The reason some people win the lottery and go broke within 5 years is simple. Their identity didn't match their income. Money amplifies who you are, it doesn't change who you are. If you're insecure without money, you'll be insecure with money. If you're generous without money, you'll be generous with money. God is about to test your stewardship before He increases your resources. He's watching how you handle the little to see if you can handle the much. How you treat the waiter reveals how you'll treat your future employees. How you manage your current income determines your future increase. There's a financial gate that's been locked over your bloodline for generations. Poverty mindsets, limitation beliefs, fear of success. These generational curses end with you. You're not just getting blessed, you're becoming the blessing that breaks the cycle for everyone who comes after you. Within the next 90 days, you're going to see financial movement that defies explanation. Money will come from sources you never expected. Debts will be cancelled in ways you never imagined. Opportunities will present themselves that seem too good to be true, but they'll be real because God's favor is behind them. The enemy fought so hard to keep you broke because he knew what would happen when you finally understood your worth. You're not just getting money, you're getting the resources to fund the vision God planted in your heart. You're getting the influence to impact nations. You're getting the wealth to build the kingdom. I need you to declare this out loud right now, with authority, with conviction, with absolute certainty. I am wealth. I am ready. I will not sabotage my season. Say it again. I am wealth. I am ready. I will not sabotage my season. Your financial breakthrough isn't coming, it's here. It's already been released in the spiritual realm, and now it's manifesting in the natural. But the question that will determine everything is this: are you ready to receive what you've been praying for, or will you let fear talk you out of your own miracle? Chosen one, let me ask you something that might shake you to your core. How many times this week did you dismiss that sudden chill running down your spine? How many dreams did you wake up from, feeling like God was trying to tell you something, only to convince yourself it was just your imagination? You've been walking around with divine download after divine download, and the enemy has convinced you that you're losing your mind. But what if I told you that every strange feeling, every prophetic dream, every moment when the hair on your arm stood up for no reason, what if these aren't signs of instability, but signs of spiritual activation? The truth is devastating. You've been equipped with supernatural radar, but you've been taught to ignore the signals. Listen to what Isaiah 30:21 declares. You will hear a voice behind you saying, "This is the way. Walk in it." Behind you, chosen one. Not in front where you can analyze it, question it, dissect it with your mind. Behind you, in that sacred space where your spirit connects directly to the divine frequency. For decades, the religious system has trained you to doubt your spiritual senses. They told you to pray and wait for some booming voice from heaven, when God has been whispering through your intuition every single day. Your divine GPS never turned off. You just stopped trusting the signal. But here's what's happening in this very hour. Your spiritual antenna is being recalibrated. Those dreams that seemed random, they're blueprints. Those sudden urges to call someone, to take a different route home, to speak up in a meeting, that's divine guidance cutting through the noise of logic. You know that feeling when you walk into a room and immediately sense something's off? When you meet someone and your spirit recoils before they even speak? When you're about to make a decision and something deep inside screams stop? That's not paranoia, beloved. That's discernment. That's your spirit man doing exactly what God designed it to do. The enemy has been working overtime to make you question these moments because he knows something terrifying. When the chosen ones start trusting their divine vision, his kingdom crumbles. When you stop second-guessing that voice inside you, you become unstoppable. Think about this. How many warnings did you ignore? How many green lights did you miss because you were waiting for confirmation that God had already given you through your spirit? How many times did you choose the logical path over the spiritual path and end up in a wilderness you could have avoided? But God is saying, enough. In these final hours before your breakthrough, He's turning up the volume on your spiritual senses. Those chills you feel right now as you hear these words, that's not emotional manipulation. That's divine confirmation. Your spirit recognizes truth when it hears it. Proverbs 20:27 says, "The spirit of man is the lamp of the Lord, searching all the inner depths of his heart." You are not just flesh and blood wandering around hoping for direction. You are a walking sanctuary carrying the very light of God, and that light illuminates things that natural eyes cannot see. The supernatural signals are intensifying because time is running short. God is downloading strategy, wisdom, and warnings directly into your spirit faster than ever before. But if you keep dismissing these as coincidences, you'll walk right past the very doors He's opening for you. Right now, say it aloud, "I trust my divine vision." Feel how those words resonate in your chest. Feel how your spirit leaps when you give yourself permission to believe what you've always known deep down, that you are supernaturally connected to the throne room of heaven. Your dreams tonight will carry more weight. Your intuition tomorrow will speak louder. The signs and synchronicities will multiply because heaven is preparing to move you from this season of waiting into your season of walking in supernatural authority. But here's the question that will determine everything. Will you trust what God has already placed inside you, or will you keep looking for confirmation from people who can't even hear their own spiritual signals? Comment, "I see now," if you're ready to stop doubting your divine downloads and start walking in the supernatural discernment that's been waiting to guide you into your destiny. Because what I'm about to reveal next will show you exactly how these spiritual signals are about to converge into the most significant breakthrough of your entire life. Chosen one, we've traveled together through valleys of waiting, through seasons of silence where your prayers seem to echo into emptiness. But look where we stand now. Look at what you've survived. Look at who you've become. You were not delayed. You were hidden. While others rushed toward counterfeit glory, God tucked you away in His secret place. While they chased temporary victories, you were being forged in the furnace of His presence. Every tear you cried in private was collected in heaven's bottle. Every night you wondered if God had forgotten you. He was actually preparing your crown. Now, the spiritual veil has lifted. The crown has descended. Can you feel it? That weight settling on your shoulders isn't burden, it's authority. That stirring in your chest isn't anxiety, it's anointing. Something ancient and eternal is awakening within you right now, and the enemy is terrified because he knows what's coming next. The psalmist declared in Psalm 75:6-7, "Promotion doesn't come from the east or west, but from God who judges. He brings one down and sets another up." Your promotion was never in human hands. It was always in divine decree, and that decree has been signed, sealed, and delivered to this very hour. But here's what will shock the religious world. Your breakthrough isn't coming through the church building. It's not coming through the pastor's prayer line. It's coming through divine disruption. God is about to bypass every system that overlooked you, every door that shut in your face, every voice that said you weren't qualified. You will walk into rooms where people will feel you before you speak. Your presence will carry the fragrance of heaven. Conversations will shift when you enter. Opportunities will recognize you without introduction. Why? Because you've been marked by the Most High, and that marking is about to become visible to the naked eye. Listen carefully. This is your moment of spiritual coronation, not in some distant future, not when you get your life together, not when you prove yourself worthy. Right now, in this sacred space, heaven is placing upon your head an invisible crown that will soon manifest in ways the natural world cannot deny. But here's the question that will determine everything. Will you receive it? Will you stop shrinking back from your own destiny? Will you stop apologizing for the fire God placed in your bones? The glory is no longer coming. It's here. It's in this room. It's in your bloodstream. It's rewiring your DNA as we speak. The very cells in your body are being recalibrated to carry divine frequency. Your voice is about to change in pitch, but in power. Your eyes are about to change in color, but in clarity. Your walk is about to change in speed, but in authority. 20 years from now, people will mark this moment as the day everything shifted in your lineage. Your children will inherit breakthrough because you said yes to your crowning. Your grandchildren will walk in favor because you refused to stay hidden when God called you forth. The enemy tried to convince you that you were too broken, too old, too late. He whispered lies about your past, your mistakes, your failures. But God is about to turn your greatest shame into your strongest testimony. What the devil meant for evil, God is turning into evidence of his redemptive power. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are a victor wearing a crown. In ancient times, when a king was crowned, the entire kingdom knew it. The atmosphere shifted, the laws changed, order was restored. Chosen one, your personal kingdom, your family, your finances, your future is about to experience that same divine reorganization. The 2-hour window I spoke of at the beginning, it wasn't about a deadline. It was about a doorway, and you've already stepped through. The old you stayed on the other side. The crowned you is here now, and there's no going back. Your reign has begun, not tomorrow, not next week. Now, step into it with the confidence of someone who knows they've been chosen by the King of Kings. The question isn't whether you're ready. The question is, are you willing to let the world see who you really are? Chosen one, what I'm about to reveal will change how you see every burning sensation you've felt in your chest, every restless night, every moment when your spirit felt like it was on fire from the inside out. You thought it was anxiety. You thought it was stress. You thought you were breaking down. But what if I told you that burning was actually God breaking through? For months, maybe years, you felt this unexplainable heat rising within you. A fire that couldn't be extinguished by medication, vacation, or even prayer. You've wrestled with it, fought against it, tried to cool it down. But here's the shocking truth that will rock your world. That fire wasn't meant to be put out. It was meant to consume everything in you that wasn't of God. You are being marked not with ink, but with flame. Listen to me carefully. When Moses stood before that burning bush in the wilderness, do you think he felt comfortable? When the flames danced before his eyes, when the ground beneath his feet became holy, when the voice of the Almighty shattered his ordinary Tuesday morning, do you think Moses felt peaceful? He felt the same fire you're feeling right now. The same burning that makes you remove your shoes because you know you're standing on sacred ground. That burn in your chest? It's not anxiety, it's your mantle catching fire. The enemy has been lying to you, telling you that discomfort means you're off track. But every prophet, every chosen vessel, Every person God handpicked for greatness felt this exact same fire. Elijah felt it before he called down heaven's flame and consumed the altar. The disciples felt it in that upper room before tongues of fire rested upon their heads and they turned the world upside down. This is not hellfire. This is heaven fire, and it's resting on you. But here's what the church won't tell you: this fire comes with a price. It burns away everything you thought you were. Every false identity, every comfortable lie, every small dream that kept you playing it safe. You've been wondering why relationships are falling away, why old places feel foreign, why you can't settle for mediocrity anymore. It's because the fire is doing what fire does: it purifies. It separates the precious from the worthless. Right now, as I speak these words, that same fire that spoke to Moses from the thorn bush is speaking to you from your pain. Every rejection that burned, every betrayal that seared your soul, every moment you felt forgotten, God was using that heat to forge something unbreakable within you. The scripture says in Malachi 3:3, He will sit as a refiner and purifier of silver. You've been in the refiner's fire, chosen one. The heat you felt wasn't God's absence, it was His presence, burning away everything that couldn't withstand glory. But I need you to understand something that will shake you to your core. You're not just being purified, you're being promoted. This fire isn't just cleansing you, it's commissioning you. God doesn't waste His flame on ordinary people. He saves it for those He's about to send into impossible situations with supernatural power. Do you feel that stirring right now? That's not nervousness, that's recognition. Your spirit knows what I'm saying is true because the same spirit that hovered over the waters, the same spirit that filled the temple with fire, the same spirit that descended like a dove, that same spirit is confirming this word in your innermost being. On the day of Pentecost, Acts 2-3 tells us that tongues of fire rested on each of them. Not tongues of peace, not tongues of comfort, tongues of fire. And immediately they began to speak with power that turned their world upside down. They were marked by heaven's flame, and so are you. This is your Pentecost moment. This is your burning bush encounter. This is the hour when heaven stops playing games with your destiny and sets you ablaze with purpose so intense that hell itself will take notice. The fire you've been running from is actually running toward you with an assignment, a calling so specific, so powerful, that only someone who's been through the flames can carry it. God needed you purified before He could promote you. He needed you broken before He could make you dangerous. If you can feel this fire stirring in your bones right now, if something deep within you is saying, "Yes, this is me," then don't you dare shrink back. Type in the comments, "I carry the fire." Let heaven and earth witness that you're ready to be the burning one, the marked one, the one who carries heaven's flame into dark places. Because what happens next will determine whether you step into your calling or step back into comfort. And comfort, chosen one, is the enemy of your commission. Are you ready to stop running from the fire and start running with it? Chosen one, as you step into this sacred 2-hour window, heaven is already positioning 3 distinct types of people in your path. But here's what most believers miss, and it could cost you everything. These aren't random encounters, they are spiritual assignments, each carrying a different frequency, each testing your discernment at the most critical moment of your breakthrough. The enemy knows you're rising. He's watched you survive what should have destroyed you. He's seen you pray through the wilderness, endure the silence, and refuse to quit when quitting made perfect sense. And now he's desperate. So he's sending counterfeits while God sends authentic messengers. The question that will determine your destiny is this: can you tell the difference? Listen carefully. In the next 48 hours, you will encounter 3 strangers, or they will encounter you. Each one will feel significant, each one will seem heaven-sent, but only one truly is. The other 2? One is a test, the other is a trap. The Whisperer, your Elijah moment. The first stranger carries something you cannot see, but will desperately need your next instruction. Just as God sent Elijah to the widow of Zarephath with specific directions that saved her life, this person approaches you with a whisper, not a shout. They don't come to impress you, they come to inform you. You'll recognize the whisperer by what they don't do. They won't flatter your gifts or inflate your ego. Instead, they'll speak a word so precise, so specific to your situation, that your spirit will leap before your mind even understands. They might be the cashier who asks, "Have you been praying about a change?" They could be the stranger on the subway who says, "You look like someone waiting for an answer." But here's the test. The whisperer will challenge your comfort zone. Their instruction won't align with your logic. Remember, God told Moses to strike the rock, told Joshua to march around walls, told Gideon to reduce his army. Divine strategy rarely makes human sense. When Elijah told the widow to feed him first with her last meal, it defied survival instinct. But her obedience to that impossible instruction saved her household from famine. Your whisperer carries the same impossible-sounding wisdom that will unlock your impossible breakthrough. The Watcher, your silent guardian. The second stranger has been observing you longer than you realize. They are positioned by divine appointment to open a door that human effort cannot budge. Think of Mordecai watching Esther, recognizing that she had come to the kingdom for such a time as this. The Watcher sees your destiny before you do. This person carries keys real authority in the natural realm. They might be the business owner who's been looking for someone exactly like you, the ministry leader who's been praying for a specific gifting you carry, the investor who's been waiting for a project that matches your vision. But here's what will shock you about the Watcher. They won't approach you immediately. They observe first. They're testing your character when you think nobody's looking. How do you treat the janitor? How do you respond when you're overlooked? How do you handle disappointment? Joseph was watched in Potiphar's house before he was elevated to Pharaoh's palace. David was watched by Samuel while tending sheep before he was anointed as king. Ruth was watched by Boaz while gleaning in the fields before she became his wife. Your Watcher is conducting the same silent evaluation. When they finally reveal themselves, their words will carry unusual authority. They'll speak of opportunities, partnerships, or positions that seem too good to be true. And here's your confirmation. The Watcher will already know details about your situation that you've never shared with anyone. The counterfeit, your final test. But chosen one, as your breakthrough accelerates, darkness sends its most sophisticated deception. The counterfeit arrives precisely when you're most vulnerable to flattery, most hungry for validation, most desperate for the door to open. This stranger will say everything you've longed to hear. They'll validate your pain, confirm your calling, and promise shortcuts to your destiny. They speak the language of faith, but carry the spirit of manipulation. They offer partnership, but demand your anointing. They promise elevation, but deliver devastation. Judas sat at the table with Jesus for 3 years. He spoke the right words, performed miracles, even handled the ministry's money. But his heart carried betrayal. The counterfeit studies your desires so they can mirror them perfectly. Here's how you'll know them. They rush your decision. They create false urgency around their opportunity. They make you feel like this is your only chance. They speak constantly about what they can do for you, but never ask what God is doing through you. Most dangerously, the counterfeit will appear during your most tired, most lonely, most financially pressed moments. They prey on weariness. They capitalize on desperation. The weight test. You'll know them not by their words, but by the weight they carry, or lack thereof. The whisperer carries the weight of divine assignment. Their words feel heavy with purpose, even when softly spoken. The Watcher carries the weight of genuine authority. Their presence commands respect without demanding it. But the counterfeit, they carry no spiritual weight at all. Their words are hollow, their promises empty, their urgency manufactured. They're spiritual lightweights masquerading as champions. Here's your spiritual radar check. Does their presence bring peace or anxiety? Does their opportunity require you to compromise your values? Do they honor your prayer time, or do they pressure you to decide before seeking God? Remember this truth that will save your destiny. God's delays are often His protection from the wrong opportunity arriving too early. As these three strangers enter your path in the coming hours, your discernment isn't just important, it's everything. One wrong choice could delay your breakthrough by years. One right choice could catapult you into your calling overnight. Say this aloud right now. Lord, help me recognize what eyes can't see. Because, chosen one, your ability to distinguish between the authentic and the counterfeit will determine whether this 2-hour window becomes your greatest breakthrough or your biggest test. The question that will define your next decade is this. When all three strangers extend their hands toward your future, which one will you choose to trust? Listen to me, chosen one. I need you to stop carrying the weight of believing you're behind schedule. Stop punishing yourself for what you think is delayed destiny, because what I'm about to reveal will shatter every lie the enemy whispered about your timing. You weren't late, you weren't lazy, you were incubating the miraculous. For decades, you've watched others seemingly skip past you getting promotions you deserved, finding love you prayed for, walking into doors that slammed in your face. And somewhere deep inside, a voice began whispering, maybe God forgot about me. Maybe I missed my moment. Maybe I'm just not chosen anymore. But here's the shocking truth that will break your heart wide open. Every single delay was divine protection. Every no was God's fierce love guarding you from what would have destroyed you before you were strong enough to carry it. Time did not delay you. Time protected you from early exposure. Think about this. If that relationship had worked out 5 years ago, would you have had the wisdom to recognize red flags? If that business opportunity had opened when you first wanted it, would you have possessed the character to handle the pressure? If that financial breakthrough had come before your spiritual foundation was solid, would it have blessed you or corrupted you? The enemy wants you to believe that timing is random, that God is slow, that you've been forgotten. But Scripture reveals a different truth in Habakkuk 2-3. Though it lingers, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay. Did you catch that? Will not delay. God isn't late. God doesn't miss appointments. God doesn't forget His promises. Your breakthrough wasn't delayed. It was precisely timed for maximum impact in your life and maximum glory for His kingdom. A diamond cut too soon becomes dust. But when pressure finishes its work, when heat has done its purifying, when time has completed its refining process, it becomes unbreakable, priceless, brilliant beyond measure. You've been in the pressure chamber, haven't you? The crushing weight of disappointment, the heat of betrayal, the grinding force of circumstances that should have destroyed you. But look at yourself now. Look at the wisdom carved into your soul. Look at the strength forged in your spirit. Look at the compassion birthed from your own pain. That person who hurt you 10 years ago, they didn't just wound you, they inadvertently shaped you into someone who now recognizes authentic love. That job you lost, it didn't just devastate your finances, it forced you to discover gifts you never knew you possessed. That dream that seemed to die, it didn't disappear, it was being transformed into something infinitely greater. Every tear you cried in secret was watering seeds planted in divine soil. Every night you fell asleep wondering if God still cared was actually Him standing guard over your destiny while you rested. Every morning you woke up and chose to keep believing. Despite the silence was you passing another spiritual test, proving your faithfulness when no one was watching. The people who got their breakthroughs early, Some couldn't handle them. The relationships that came too fast, many crumbled under pressure. The money that arrived before character was formed, it often became a curse, not a blessing. But you've been baptized by time itself. You've been sanctified by seasons of waiting. You've been purified by years of pressing through when quitting would have been easier. And now, finally, you're ready for what's been kept in heaven's vault with your name on it. This is why your blessing won't look like anyone else's. This is why your breakthrough will be tailor-made for the specific version of you that exists right now, seasoned, tested, proven, unshakable. When your moment comes, and it's coming fast, you won't crumble under its weight. You won't be intimidated by its magnitude. You won't self-sabotage because of unworthiness. You'll stand tall, look it in the eye, and say, I've been prepared for this. I've been refined for this. I am ready. Say it aloud right now. Time bowed to my purpose. I wasn't late. I was hidden. Feel that shift? That's the sound of seasons changing. That's the rumble of heaven's gates opening. That's the whisper of God saying, my beloved child, your time of preparation is complete. Now watch what I do with a life that has been properly seasoned. But here's what's about to shock you. Even more the specific reason why this breakthrough is happening right now, in July 2024, and why you have exactly 2 hours left to position yourself for what's coming next. Chosen one, as we reach the end of this divine encounter, I need you to carry these truths deep into your heart. You were never forgotten. You were never abandoned. Every delay was divine protection. Every closed door was God guarding something sacred until you were ready to steward it with wisdom. Your breakthrough isn't just coming, it's already in motion. The 2-hour window we spoke of wasn't about creating panic. It was about awakening you to the spiritual urgency of this moment. Heaven has been preparing something specifically designed for the person you've become through every trial, every tear, every test. Remember this. Time didn't delay you, it refined you. You're not behind schedule, you're right on divine time. The pressure you felt wasn't punishment, it was preparation for the weight of glory you're about to carry. You are not walking this journey alone. God's hand has been upon you through every season, and there's a community of believers right here who understand your struggle, who felt your pain, and who are ready to stand with you in prayer and faith. But I want to ask you something that will echo in your spirit long after this video ends. If God has been this faithful during your wilderness season, protecting you, refining you, preparing you for something greater, what makes you think He would stop being faithful now, right at the moment of your breakthrough? Let me pray over you right now, as if I'm standing right beside you, placing my hand on your shoulder. Heavenly Father, I come before you on behalf of every precious soul who has stayed with us through this entire message. Lord, you see them, not just their faces, but their hearts. You know every tear they've cried in secret, every prayer they've whispered in desperation, every moment they've felt like giving up but chose to keep believing instead. Father, I speak blessing over their lives right now. Open the windows of heaven and pour out favor that they cannot contain. Let doors swing open that no man can shut. Let provision flow from unexpected sources. Let relationships align that will nurture their soul and support their calling. God, heal every wounded place in their hearts. Restore what was stolen. Multiply what was lost. Turn their mourning into dancing and their weeping into joy that lasts through the morning. For those watching who feel invisible, let them know they are seen. For those who feel forgotten, remind them they are cherished. For those who feel weak, strengthen them with your might. For those who feel alone, surround them with your presence and connect them with divine relationships. Lord, I pray for supernatural acceleration in their lives. What the enemy meant for evil, turn it for good. Let their testimony become a beacon of hope for others who are still in their wilderness season. Protect them, Father. Cover them with your wings. Send angels to guard their steps. Give them discernment to recognize divine opportunities and wisdom to walk away from counterfeits. And Lord, when their breakthrough manifests, let them never forget who brought them through. Let their success be a platform for your glory, not their pride. Use their story to heal others who are still waiting, still believing, still pressing forward. In the mighty name of Jesus, I release peace over every anxious heart, hope over every discouraged spirit, and faith over every doubt. Let them sleep tonight, knowing that tomorrow holds possibilities they can't even imagine. Amen. Beautiful souls, if this message touched your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs to hear that they're not forgotten, that their time is coming, that God is still working behind the scenes. Drop a comment below and let us know how this word impacted you. Ask for prayer if you need it. This community will surround you with love and intercession. And please, if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel and ring that notification bell. Not for my sake, but because God might use the next message to speak directly into your situation. You never know when heaven might use a simple notification to deliver your next breakthrough word. Thank you for staying with me through this entire journey. Thank you for opening your heart, for believing, for refusing to give up. Your faithfulness in the small things is preparing you for the great things that are coming. Until we meet again, remember, you are chosen, you are loved, you are never alone, and your time, your real time is now. Go in peace, go in power, go in the absolute certainty that your God is faithful and He will complete what He has begun in you.